Hello guys. So in this video I'm going to discuss about how we can prepare for the interview and what kind of questions we can expect in a product designer role interview or for the UX UI designer role. Okay. This role is particularly going to focus more on the user experience aspects than interface aspects. So if you are a UX designer and or if you just want to switch to a UX design role, then you must watch this video fully. Now let's get started. I'll display all the questions whatever is possible for the interviewer to ask you, and also they might ask you to work on some live task within the call, so you should be prepared for that as well. Now let's get started. Okay. So about me, first of all, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity and thank you for your valuable time. I am Muthulakshmi. I have around 8 years of experience in product design role, and I have worked on multiple domains like healthcare, fintech, AI, and SaaS products. Apart from that, I use the frameworks like jobs to be done and human centered design approaches towards solving a problem. I also conduct usability testing in order to understand better about the user needs and go through the scope document or the PRD in order to get better clarity on the stakeholder expectations. So I try to validate the design decisions through the KPIs that I've defined in the start of the project. So my technology stack involves using Figma for core UX UI design and FigJam for ideation. I also use Notion and Google Docs for documentation. So apart from that, I use Framer, Adobe XD, and Sketch. So these are some of the technology stack I regularly use. And moving on, let me walk through my working process. I will start the project by using the double diamond process. Like, I first try to discover about the client and their needs, go through the document in order to understand better, get a better clarity, and I come up with a questionnaire where I'll get into dive more about what kind of objectives the business is going to solve. How are we going to uh, derive at the solution? So that will be the hypothesis framing stage. Based on that, I'll move to the research part where I'll be defining the KPIs. What are we trying to achieve in this project? Defining the goals, trying to understand more about the users, their behavior, and what kind of uh, pain points are they having, coming up with the persona, information architecture, and trying to restructure and optimize the user flow. So these are some of the processes that I'll be working on. And once that is done, I'll move to ideation where I'll brainstorm and come up with different approaches for the same screens. Maybe like for a particular screen, I'll have to iterate and come up with variations so that we know what kind of functionalities will be more preferred in the industry, as well as to get better kind of understanding and what are the other perspectives which the stakeholder is thinking. By that way, I'll also coordinate with other cross-functional teams and making sure we are on the same page. So then I'll move on to the uh, visual design and prototyping phases where I'll be connecting the screens in a flow. It should not be isolated screens. So that would be the reason, and I'll validate again with the usability testing if it's required in order to check and validate whether it is matching the user expectations. and then we'll move to the iterations based on the feedback that I'm receiving from the usability testing. So based on that, we'll have a smooth implementation. This is my working process and some of the things about how I am as a designer. Please let me know if you have any questions regarding whatever I have mentioned here. Can you walk through your latest project? Sure, I'll be happy to walk through my latest project, which is Clear AI. It is a fintech AI powered platform, and the objective of this project is that we are trying to provide financial information, like presenting the expenses which the users are making along with AI recommendations so that they can reduce their expenditure in the upcoming days. So that is the goal of this project, and the functionalities involve some of the things like how can we try to minimize the expenses and maximize the savings. What are the other features that we are focusing in this platform is that we can integrate with the bank accounts so that automatically it appears in the application interface how much expenses we are making. Those will be updated without having any manual entry. So my workflow involved, I had to come up with the structuring of the information architecture, and before that I had to get to know and understand about what are all the needs of the stakeholder, what is the scope, what are we trying to achieve, and based on the uh, complete documentation I was able to proceed with the next steps of understanding about the users. So for this I did the usability testing based on the KPI I defined, which is the users should be able to maximize their satisfaction rate. Like we need to achieve more user satisfaction, and also if there is any error happening that we need to try to reduce. So these were some of the KPIs I initially came up with, and having that defined I went to the uh, ideation stage where I did the prioritization matrix, in which I was able to identify for which kind of features the users are putting in low effort and achieving high impact. So based on that feature prioritization matrix, I was able to prioritize the task and come up with the screens. So again, I did the usability testing in order to validate whether what we have done is going to match the user expectations, or is it going to be something different. Okay, so uh, with the testing results I was able to find that we were able to reduce the error uh, rates. Like I had come up with the error screens as well. Like if the user is not uh, entering the information in their onboarding screens, then we'll have to show them in the settings page. So also if there is any kind of mistake which the user is making, like they have not entered an input field, then we'll have to ask them to input, give that input, only then we'll proceed them to the next page. So I try to show those error messages explicitly so that we are improving our user experience. And also this has maximized the user satisfaction rate. So based on that I have also collaborated with cross-functional teams on this project. Like I closely collaborated with the product manager, the development team, and also the stakeholders for getting their valuable feedback and getting sign-offs in each and every stage, so we know whether we are aligned with them and their expectations, and there might not be any conflict. So ensuring that I proceeded and made sure there is a smoother development and QA. So this is how my uh, my working process in this project was, and this is where I contributed for Clear AI. That's it. What differentiates you from other UX UI designers? Okay, so let me tell my approach and how I set myself different from other designers. So actually, when I approach a project, I first try to consider what are all the things which the client is expecting, and how are we going to proceed with the project, what kind of goals are we trying to achieve, and what might be the objectives of the business. So based on that, I proceed forward with the project, and I also prioritize the tasks, like what are all the important features are we going to prioritize and work on. It could be based on the effort matrix that I work, or it could also be based on the estimation, and based on the complex flows that we are going to focus in the initial stages of the project. So this is how I approach and work towards a project, and my strength lies in usability testing, where I consider more onto the users behavior, their experience, and how uh, we are going to convert and meet the expectations of the users. So it is going to be user centered design. So these are some of my strengths that could possibly be leveraged for the expertise and for the uh, betterment of our product in the product that we are working on. So these are some of my strengths that can set me apart from other designers, is what I believe. What was the most challenging UX problem that you worked? So, when it comes to the challenging UX problem, I would mention from the project Nix Hotel. So, it is a property management system. Like the users are the front desk staff, especially the hotel managers and the receptionist who will be customer facing. And here, the aim of the project is that uh, the users will have to check in the customers who are walking in through the hotel, and their everyday busy schedule will be impacting in checking in the customers, as well as they will need to track the occupancy rate, how much people are currently staying in the hotel, and they'll have to navigate between the different departments involved, are the housekeeping staff present, or the other department staffs are present, accountant and everyone. So they are responsible for all of these these things. So for that matter, I'll have to design and come up with the uh, interface that will simplify their everyday work. So even during their busy schedules, they'll have to make the reservation for the customer who is coming in. So I worked on restructuring the information architecture, simplifying the complex journey, and I also try to come up with the flows where the users will be more delighted by minimizing the friction points and also simplifying the complex interface by showing the most frequently accessed information in the dashboard. So their way of reserving for a customer who is walking in will be more optimized. That is what I tried to do in this project, and as a result we were able to increase the the user satisfaction rate, and we were also able to achieve the task time completion rate, like the users were able to do and perform that activity within a short time itself. So we were able to achieve the defined KPIs for this project. Please let me know if you are having any question on my project for my expertise. Like, do I have to explain any of the concept or any of the point that I've mentioned or anything from this project? I'll be happy to answer that. How will you deal with a project in which there was a business conflict as well as user conflict? So when there is a business conflict and the user conflict, it might be differing. Like the from the stakeholders' point of view, they might be maybe saying like they want to show more of AI insights, even for the recent project that I worked, which is Clear AI, and that the client actually wanted to show me more of AI insights, recommendations for the user, thinking that the user might require much detail. But when we did the usability testing, it revealed that the users might require AI recommendations for certain areas and not for a lot of information, as it might be a cognitive overload for them. So documenting these points were critical for me to have a common understanding of both the expectations, and having an overall idea. um, uh, we were able to come to a conclusion, and also for this matter I did usability testing and also this A/B testing. So showing the different variations for the same screen, we had come up with the conclusion of moving ahead with the conversion optimization flow of what kind of solution we are going to incorporate based on the usability testing. And also the stakeholder had I mean, us as designers and the stakeholder had a common understanding of how we are going to proceed with the solution. So this is how we approached towards the conflict of business and the user. So so this has maximized our uh, efficiency, and we were able to achieve our business objectives as well. That's it. That's my idea and approach towards this. Which research methods did you implement end to end? Okay, so not in all the projects we'll be using all the research methods. It again depends on the context and the complexity in order to simplify the information. Based on the project background and based on the project timeline and also the stakeholder needs, we'll have to decide what kind of research methods we'll have to implement. And regarding the research methods that I've used end to end, involves starting to understand the client needs, moving on to the primary research, collecting the first hand data from the users in order to understand from their standpoint, their perspective, what they are expecting in the application. I'll move ahead with the kind of questionnaire in order to get more qualitative data using user interview. With their permission, I'll record the session and try to synthesize the research. Also, I'll have to do the user survey to get the quantitative data insights from the users. So that will also help me to come up with the kind of uh, specific information which the users are actually looking for. So when it comes to user interview and survey questions, I'll obviously try to focus on what are their current solutions, what kind of problems are they experiencing in day to day life, and how can we actually try to simplify the complex workflows. So these will be my goals of doing and conducting that kind of user interview or survey. And based on that, I'll be synthesizing the research insights by doing affinity mapping. So I'll group them and come up with the kind of section level topics. I'll divide into different themes and then come up with the subcategories of the same, so that we have a better idea and we'll be able to get a better picture of turning those messy research work to organized structure. So as a designer and as I collaborate with other teams, they'll have a better idea and understanding of what kind of expectations the users are having, and that's obviously the purpose of doing user research, is what I believe. And from that data, I'll derive the user persona. So the UX artifacts like persona, user journey mapping. So in the journey mapping also, I'll be focusing on the desired journey map and the current journey map. So in this, I'll have a better idea and capture the opportunities. So how are we going to improvise in our application? What kind of pain points the users are facing in the current journey? So we are trying to optimize and show a better experience for the users. So that is going to be the ultimate goal. And this is how I approach towards the UX research work. And also I'll do the competitor analysis to get a better understanding of how the competitors or even the other products are performing in the market. So we'll have to analyze what are their strengths, their weakness, and what kind of opportunities or threats that we have in the market, so we can position our product in such a way. And this is how I approach. That's it. Please let me know if you are having any question, or do I have to explain something in detail. If there is a complex information architecture, how will you validate that? That's a tricky question. When there is a IA, I need to validate it. I can use any of these methods like card sorting or tree testing. So by that way, I'll be able to organize and come up with the kind of categorization, and based on that categorization I can derive it in depth, like what are the subcategories, how can we make it more efficient. So by doing that, I can understand what kind of expectations the users are actually having, and even by recruiting the users, asking them to do that card sorting will help me get an idea of what kind of structure they have in their minds. So there can be open card sorting or closed card sorting, it depends on the context of the project again. So based on that, we can move ahead with this process of doing card sorting to get the better terminology, like the naming of different groups. So by that way we can proceed forward with validating the information architecture, and this will obviously help us when it comes to the wireframes and showing them the design. So this is how I approach towards validating the information architecture. How do you handle criticism? So there will be some kind of feedback which I'll be receiving from the stakeholder for each and every project that will be working mostly. So first I'll have to acknowledge what kind of feedback they are giving and analyze the patterns, like what uh, is that I need to improve, or what is the thing that I have to work on, and based on that I'll have to take the steps to improve myself as a designer, and then I'll have to show the progress. So this is how I approach towards criticism, and this is an important skill as a designer. So we'll have to give the feedback to other designers for their process and for their screens, and also we should take in the feedbacks that we are receiving. What success criteria will you look for before you are launching a product? Before an application or a website that I've designed goes live, I'll have to define the success criteria. Like if I have designed a form, then I'll have to expect some kind of at least 80% of the people should be able to complete that task, and the error reduction rates needs to be reduced, or uh, like I mentioned, the task completion rate needs to be increased. And in addition to that, the KPI that I will define further might be the time to complete that task needs to be reduced. So along with the percentages, I will have to decide as a designer, and I'll have to track the performance after it is launched. So this is how I'll have to define the KPIs before launching a product. What is your weakness? So I am good in technical things, and I'm just improving my communication skills, be it like the kind of pacing, like I'm trying to deliver my talks slowly so that everyone can understand it even more better, and I'm trying to convey my thoughts clearly. So this is the thing I'm right now working on. So that is the weakness that I want to improve. So my thoughts can be conveyed clearly, and the other user can understand it even more better, and there might not be any communication gap in understanding the things which I am trying to say. Tell us about a failure of maybe a feature or something like that. Once in a project, when I worked with Sukufina, I had to come up with a lot of information in order to satisfy the users. But then I realized after the usability testing that the assumption that I had as a designer was not matching the expectations of the users. It was a cognitive overload for them. So I had to simplify the hierarchy, and I'll have to prioritize the information which I had to show the users. So by that way I was able to simplify the entire interface, and that was the thing I needed to improve at that point in time. And this has been a learning for me. How can you improve and get better metrics for a public service system? When it comes to a public service system, it is essential to consider the number of support tickets are reduced, the users, which means the citizens, are able to submit the forms more effectively, reducing the errors, and also the service completion rate needs to be higher, so the form submission needs to be higher in count. And these are some of the critical key performance indicators that I would measure in a public system. In addition to that, I will also do the usability testing in order to arrive at the results like the click-through rates for the form submission, maybe for the submit button. And also I'll have to take into consideration like the task completion rate, how many people are able to complete the task. So when I consider all of these factors, I'll be able to measure the UX metrics for public system, and that is my idea. When there is a conflict with the engineering teams, how will you deal with that? Okay, so if there is any conflict with the engineering team, then it's first necessary when it comes to a project, like starting a project. I first need to clarify the client requirements and the user expectations to the developer and the QA testing team as well. So we have a better clarity and we are aligned as a cross functional team, and we know what we are working on, and based on that we are going to proceed forward with the project, and we are going to work on each and every process. So I'll have to get a sign off from the client and also coordinate with the engineering teams. So if there is some technical constraints with the engineering teams, then it is necessary to come up with an alternative solution but without compromising the functionality. We can maybe make some changes in the visuals, like if it is having too much of animation that is not feasible in the development, then obviously we can work on changing some of the subtle animations, but it should not affect the quality of the functionality that we have earlier agreed with the stakeholder. And that is my approach towards this conflict with engineering teams. Yeah. How do you handle when there is accessibility issues? So what kind of accessibility considerations do you take into account when you are designing or when you are starting in a project? Accessibility is something that we need to take into consideration in every project, is what I believe, because when we are not considering the people with different needs, then it might be a bit more difficult for the users to go through the application. Okay, so let me come to the point, like how are we going to move into accessibility considerations, is that we'll first have to try to understand and check the color contrast. We'll have to follow WCAG guidelines 4.5:1 ratio. So we'll have to meet the accessibility requirements. And we have this tool WebAIM. In that we can also check the accessibility color contrast, whether it is passing. So if it passes, then we can implement in the design. And we can also consider having larger font sizes if it is a kind of application for tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities. Then obviously we'll have to focus more on these accessibility guidelines. Even if there is an icon, we need to have a label along with the icon so that it is conveyed properly for the user. Along with that, the touch targets can be larger so that it will be easier for the user to click on that icon with their thumb finger, and we can follow the uh, the guidelines of human centered design or material design published by Google. Any of the guidelines we can follow, and also we need to ensure that we are designing for color blinded people who are not able to differentiate only with the colors. So we can even have some kind of a line for them to differentiate along with the selected state of the color, so they know which option is selected in the navigation. Even in the bottom navigation, when we are designing, we can do that approach. It will be even more clear for all of these users. So it's necessary to consider these features when we are moving ahead with accessibility considerations for any project that we are working on, because this is more mandatory and important to consider our users. And this is how I approach towards it. For a public service app, what kind of features will you come up with? So usually when it's a public service app, I'll have to understand more about the subject, more about what are the other applications who are offering similar services, similar features. I'll have to go through them as well, and based on that idea, I'll come up with the features, and I'll try to understand who are the target users. So basically the users might be will be the citizens, like the residents. They will have certain functionalities that they can perform the task, like they can submit the service if they request for it. They can also request for the service, and they can submit their concerns or their queries, and they can track the status of in which stage their process is in, and they can even look for any kind of tracking for their status and upload any documents if it is required. Once that is done, there will be the internal staff who will have to request for the citizen case. They'll have to look for and answer the queries which the citizens are asking, and they should also be updating their case. And then there will be the business side, where they'll have the dashboard in order to track the status of the citizens. They can view what is the progress, how many cases have we received, and these information will be visible for them. So for each and every project, there will be different kind of user groups, and we'll have to come up with the features according to them, and we'll also have to validate it along with the user data and what they are expecting. So this is how I usually approach towards a project. And for a customer, for a citizen facing kind of application, we'll have to check and work on all of these flows is what I believe. And this is how I approach. Please let me know if you want me to clarify on something. Do you have any questions for us? May I please know what kind of key performance indicators are the success factors when it comes to citizen facing services app? Guys, so this is how we approach and this is how I try to answer the questions. So mostly in some of the answers I was stumbling and bit struggling to answer that, but still I'm having that kind of confidence, like even if I don't know to answer that question, I'll try to manage and come up with something that is relevant to that question, so I don't miss saying any question. And I'm still working on to improve my pacing and the way I'm trying to convey my thoughts. Like I mentioned the weakness in one of the questions. Still, I'm wishing you all the very best for anyone who is going to appear for UX UI design interview. I'm just sharing my experience here, and please stay tuned to get more updates on the interview, like how you can crack the interview, any tips that you want. And if I want to do a video on some other topic, please do comment. And yes, again, I'm wishing you all the best for your interview.